Ooh. Wait, did I go too crazy? I don't know. Hello, beautiful people. My name is Xteen, and welcome to my kitchen, where the vibe is very much, if I can make it, so can you. We're all doing our best. This afternoon, I'm going to be making the New York Times pesto pasta soup with turkey and spinach recipe by Melissa Clark, but I'm gonna make it vegan. Most soups take a long time. This one doesn't. It should be pretty quick and easy, so this is a great little weeknight option, or, you know, whenever you're in a rush. And on that note, let's just get right into it. Okay, firstly, I must address that I know the internet hates my pot and the way it looks, but it is what it is, babe. Let's just try to move past it and have a nice time together. First, I'm adding approximately 2 tablespoons of olive oil and heating it up over medium-high heat. And now I'm adding 1 onion that I chopped up. Give that a stir to get the onion coated in the oil. And then I'm going to add red pepper flakes. I'm just going to eyeball it because I'm not afraid of spice. But if you're squeamish about heat, the recipe calls for 1/4 of a teaspoon, which is basically nothing. Just a little bit of salt as well. And I'm going to let that cook, stirring occasionally until the onion is very soft and brown around the edges. About 7 to 10 minutes. That actually browned up really quickly. I might need to turn down my heat just a smidge. And now is the time when you would add turkey, if that's what you were using. But I'm going to add seitan that I made myself. I actually just made a video on how to make homemade seitan, which is a great, versatile, high-protein meat alternative. So check that out if you are interested. I'm going to give this a really good stir to make sure it gets coated in the oil. And I'm definitely using way more seitan than the recipe calls for turkey. The recipe only calls for ½ pound of ground turkey, and this is probably 1 pound of homemade seitan. But I want this soup to be hearty, so sue me. I need to let the seitan cook until it browns up a little bit around the edges, stirring occasionally, probably another 5 to 10 minutes. And you definitely want to make sure to keep an eye on this and stir it pretty regularly so that nothing gets stuck to the bottom. This is looking good, so I'm going to add the pesto. We need 1/2 cup of pesto. I have a video on how to make homemade pesto on my channel, and in the summer, I love making it with basil that I grow in my backyard, but it's the dead of winter in New York City right now, so store-bought it is. And I waited until after the seitan was a little bit cooked to add the pesto, because it was pretty controversial in the recipe comments on the New York Times website about how much to heat up the pesto, if we even should be heating up pesto, if that is sacrilegious or not. But you know what? At this time, I don't really have a strong stance one way or the other, so here we go. Now I'm going to add 1 quart of vegan chicken broth, that's 4 cups, and bring to a simmer. Give that a good stir. And you know what? I'm going to add a couple extra cups of broth because I went so hard with the seitan. Once this starts to simmer, we want to let it cook for another 15 to 20 minutes so the flavors can really start to get to know each other. But in that time, you'll want to add whatever kind of pasta you're using and just follow the instructions on the package to know how long it needs to cook. Make sure to stir every so often. And you know what? I don't want to stress anybody out, but I'm also going to add a little more pesto right now, just because I'm worried about the ratio, since I added so much seitan. I have no regrets, but I think we need a little bit more pesto. I'm gonna add a couple more tablespoons or so. And I'm not too worried about adding this in late, because again, since the internet is divided on whether or not we should even be heating up pesto at all, I think it's fine. Okay, and it's been about 5, 6, 7 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and add my pasta now. I'm using this casarecce, and I'm only adding about 1 cup of the pasta. And this particular pasta needs to cook for 11 minutes, so I'm going to set a timer now. Okay, and the noodles are quite literally lost in the sauce. I'm not gonna lie, I really YOLO'd it with the amount of seitan I put in there, but this is the reality. Okay, and the timer for the noodles just went off. So the very last thing, well, second to last thing, is to add in the spinach. But here's the thing, spinach kind of gives me an upset stomach. I don't know, it doesn't always agree with me. And also, more importantly, kale is what I had in my fridge. So I'm going to add kale instead. I'm just going to turn down the heat a little bit. The recipe calls for 5 ounces of spinach. I don't know how much kale this is. I just eyeballed it. Nobody has time to measure out 5 ounces of some greens. I'm also just gonna taste a noodle to make sure they're cooked. Okay, and here we are. I'm going to go ahead and shut off the heat. And now the very last thing I'm going to do is squeeze the juice from half a lemon into the soup to brighten it up a little bit. Actually, you know what? Let's go for a whole lemon. I've just gone off the rails this whole time. Why stop now? Stir that in. And here we go. I'm ready to try this. Hello, it's me from the future while editing this video. These are blue light glasses. And I just wanted to say, you know, if you're watching this and you're like, what the hell? That doesn't look right. I just want you to know that I know it did come out really thick, not quite what we were going for, but every time I reheated this for leftovers, and there were a lot of leftovers, I just added some water, didn't even need to add broth, just water worked because the soup was rich, and that fixed it. That made it look, I think, much more similar to what we were going for, and it all worked out in the end. So, you know, if you're watching this and you're like, I'm sick of this lady, she's trying to tell me how to make soup, she barely knows how to make soup. Just know that I fixed it, and, you know, I hope this makes you feel safe to take some risks. And, you know, if you make a mistake like I did, you can fix it too. Just add water. That obviously won't apply in every scenario, but in this one it did. Okay, back to the initial taste test. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, it came out thick as hell, but you know, that's on me. I did take many liberties, and I really just did my own thing. Ooh, wait, it's good. It's rich, but not too rich. It's right on the edge. Very hearty, obviously, because of the massive amount of seitan I put in here. It's kind of more of a stew. It's giving stew. It tastes almost buttery, even though there's no butter in there. That's the kind of richness I'm getting. What a treat. I'll definitely try this again. Maybe add less seitan next time. But I'm very pleased. This is good. And it was easy. Came together pretty quickly. The recipe online says like 35 minutes. I don't know if that's true. I'd say more like 45. An hour with prepping the ingredients, chopping the onion, etc. But all in all, not bad. For a soup, subscribe!